Today on X-Play, we got the beat, we got minions, we got an arcade shooter. Get ready to unleash the force. It's game time.
Prepare to be reviewed.
Adam Sessler. Morgan Webb.
Prepare to be reviewed.
Prepare to be reviewed. This is X-Play.
Hello and welcome to X-Play.
On today's show, we've got a game that turns the Lord of the Rings mythos on its head. A sequel to one of the best rhythm games we've ever played, and the next-gen reimagining of a classic.
But we begin with an aerial combat game for the DS. Here's Time Ace. If you ever have the chance to travel back in time to fight an evil villain, you should really think long and hard about your hero moniker. Otherwise, you could end up like Dr. Clock in Time Ace. It's up to you, the creatively named hero, to save the world by means of time travel and plane flying. You must stop the evil Dr. Scythe from using your time machine to steal weapons from the future. You start out in World War I, where you quickly learn that the controls take some getting used to. But before you know it, you're flying around the future in a fancy space plane shooting laser beams and neon rings. Once you get into the game, it's pretty consistent and extremely unremarkable. You travel the world across oceans, deserts, and Martian colonies. Along the way, you are guided and encouraged by Nadia, a controller who sounds curiously like Arianna Huffington.
Nice shot, eh? Some more and you're gonna get Top Gun.
The game has its fair share of quirks. Apparently, in the future, enemies can shoot at you through solid walls. In the world of plane analogies, Time Ace doesn't quite crash and burn, but just barely. If you're a hardcore action fan, you might enjoy it, but otherwise, don't waste your time. Time Ace saves 2 futuristic weapons out of 5.
With all the prequels released and all the originals remastered and the Battlefront series having sold quadrillions of copies, it can feel like the time of Star Wars is over, that we should move along to a new Dune or Battlestar Galactica-based sci-fi universe. But that Lucas fellow just keeps pulling us back in. Here's a first look at Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. When a game carries the LucasArts banner, you just know it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Okay, well, on the very least, you know it's going to have lightsabers. Star Wars: The Force Unleashed is promising a lot. An action game set in the Star Wars universe that doesn't suck. But for once, we actually believe the promises. After a series of mediocre games based directly on the films, this one actually has a ton of potential. The game uses an advanced graphics engine that promises to push consoles to their limit. And apparently, it'll be landing on a lot of them. Right now, it's scheduled to hit PS2, PS3, Xbox 360, PSP, and the Nintendo DS. Whew, that's a whole lot of lightsaber loving. Unfortunately, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed is scheduled to ship April 2008, so fans still have a long time to wait. But don't worry, we'll have the full review as soon as it lands.
The problem with Star Wars games is that they so infrequently give you the feeling of really being a Jedi.
Now, KOTOR started to solve the problem with its integration of the Force into conversation mechanics and battle. But if this game can really capture the feeling of being a Dark Jedi, it will be unstoppable.
Speaking of feeling like you're connected to the energy of the universe through tiny particles in your blood, our next game is from a franchise that's convinced thousands, including this cable host, that they are masters of sound. Here's Guitar Hero Encore, 80s edition. You know what I'm sick of? All these damn kids who grew up in the 90s co-opting our sacred memories of the 80s. Having a bunch of snot-nosed 16-year-olds pretending they were raised on Transformers was bad enough. Now they're phone nostalgic for bands they never listened to and lyrics they don't even know. Well, it's high time they learn about that glorious era with Guitar Hero Encore Rocks the 80s. When you have a game as good as Guitar Hero, it's easy to screw it up somehow. The good news here is that this version doesn't mess with the formula for success. Playing the game is just as fun as ever. Nothing has changed, which could be considered a good thing. On the other hand, nothing has changed, which could be considered a bad thing. If the game looks familiar, it's because it is. This is Guitar Hero 2, from the menu graphics to the venues. We would have loved to see more 80s venues in the vein of CBGB's or, gosh, any of the Sunset Strip clubs in LA. But the real problem here is the songs. All the songs play the same. There are a couple of bright spots on the song list, like Synchronicity 2 and Turning Japanese, but that hardly makes up for the repetitive rock of Twisted Sister or Iron Maiden or Anthrax. Even more damning is the quantity of songs, 30. That's right, you're paying full price, $50 for 2 CDs worth of music. More than anything, this feels like a cash-in, a placeholder until Guitar Hero 3 is released. With Rock Band on the horizon, Red Octane really needs to pull it together for Guitar Hero 3. Churning out lackluster half games every few months isn't gonna cut it, which is why Guitar Hero Encore rocks the 80s, gets 3 tired riffs out of 5. It is unfortunate. We have come to expect more from Red Octane.
A new song list isn't a game, and they are some great 80s songs, but not super well chosen for guitar rock purposes.
But we still love you, Guitar Hero. We just can't stop.
Up next, a Final Fantasy that wasn't so final. And we'll show those hobbits who's boss. And later, Ninja Gaiden hits the PS3 on X-Play.
The U.S. Army Reserve takes a different kind of strength.
The strength to help people one day and lead people the next.
The strength to build confidence one day and build knowledge the next.
The strength to improve your country one day and your career the next.
The strength to be both a citizen and a soldier in the U.S. Army Reserve.
There's strong, and then there's Army Strong. Find out more about the Army Reserve at GoArmyReserve.com.
Sometimes friends can't see how drugs and drinking changes them.
We torture tested 2 cars to prove a point about maximum horsepower. The black car with Castrol Syntec, the red, the leading conventional oil. In torture tests, Castrol Syntec 5W30 maintained maximum horsepower 29% longer. Conventional oil got smoked.
Don't you use conventional oil?
Not anymore.
Want more proof? Go to CastrolSyntec.com. It's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
America, I know our Stride gum lasts so long, most of you are still chewing your first piece. Production is at a standstill. Workers are concerned about their futures, and our marketing team is struggling to come up with catchy ways to get you to chew more Stride. So on behalf of everyone at the Stride Factory, we're begging you, spit it out already. We even have a new flavor, Forever Fruit. So start chewing that second piece.
New Stride Forever Fruit, the ridiculously long-lasting gum. Good for you, bad for us.
Tomorrow on Code Monkeys, Gameavision goes public.
With the money you made from the IPO, you could buy 5 lap dances a day. And still have enough left over for more lap dances. I've done the math.
Don't miss a blinged-out new Code Monkeys.
Oh, banana daiquiris.
Thank you, Jasper.
Tomorrow night at 9, only on G4.
I can't feel my crotch.
Welcome back to X-Play. We review a lot of Japanese role-playing games, but one franchise has been serving as the industry standard for the past 20 years. And one of its foundational games is coming to the PSP. Here's Final Fantasy II.
Hey, remember this? Just when I thought I was out, Final Fantasy pulls me back in. Now on the PSP. Square Enix resurrects Final Fantasy II into a beautiful yet surprisingly old-school handheld title. The PSP's 4.3-inch LCD screen works overtime, pumping out the new sprite-based graphics. Bask in the colorful glow of the visuals while your armored hooligans explore the new dungeons added since 1988. But even this fantastical bling can't blind you for long. Don't forget, this is a reissue of an early Final Fantasy title. That means there will be dungeon crawling. There will be talking to lots of dumb people. There will be countless battles against super weak monsters who jump your bones in random encounters. And the fighting? Turn-based with a capital TB. But old school isn't all bad. The measured gameplay in Final Fantasy II is beloved by many gamers. It's easy to veg out to, you know, while you're flying a commercial jetliner or sitting on the Senate floor waiting for your turn to vote. I always knew Joe Biden was an RPG fan. Final Fantasy II was the first Final Fantasy game to give us airships and, of course, chocobos. But those old favorites only take us so far. If you like turning your brain off and pretending you've never heard of Limit Break, Final Fantasy II will do just fine. Otherwise, it's more relic than it is classic. 3 chocobos out of 5.
Speaking of classic fantasy franchises, our next game takes the minion strategy style of Pikmin and immerses it in a world of Tolkien-esque fantasy, where you're the nefarious despot seeking to dominate the countryside. Here's Overlord.
That sleep smoky dude with the grim attitude, who is it?
Fiendship. Even the wicked need a shoulder sometimes. If you happen to be the alpha male in an evil group, the lesser cowpokes making up your brodeo are minions. Minions are better than friends. Minions die for you. Overlord for the 360 is a near-perfect summer game, with just the right depth to be included in summer's annual assassination of innocence. Rise and shine! You're the Overlord, and you have work to do.
Rebuild your tower. Punish those so-called heroes.
Your residence is in shambles and in desperate need of a design show-specific queen for the throne.
Leader of the fire starters!
After abusing a local comedian, it's off for a bit of overlording. You know, pillaging, looting, your typical garden variety wronging of rights. The hook in Overlord is that you're not alone. Accompanying you on your tumbling Mardi Gras of mayhem are minions. Minions are a squirming bunch of sycophantic lizard dogs, color-coded for particular specialties. That sure sounds a lot like Pikmin, right down to the colors. Green for poison, blue for water. What's up with that? The difference is that the fanged flock in Overlord don't dig up bottle caps and squeak like baby harp seals. These are more like Pikminions. They congested snort, shriek, slice, and pummel. Along with elemental abilities, minions possess different attack methods, such as flanking maneuvers, invisibility, and long-distance barrages. Full-serve bending points not only offer all minion types, but healing opportunities and castle access to boot. Managing minion numbers is important here. Sacrifice them for health and magic boosts, but keep an eye on their numbers. Forget that, and you might come to a dry well next time you need them. Your ramblin' bachelor party of death will uncover supernatural scrap that can be converted into powers, complementing the Overlord's armaments. The game space is richly painted in glorious HD. Frosty drear and color-saturated harmonium all immerse you in the title's world.
You got that little friend who wants your life to end. Who is it?
A 4 out of 5.
I'm the Overlord, baby. Why don't you sit down and tell me your trouble?
The camera in the game is a little annoying, but the texture of getting to go around destroying hobbit holes, that's pretty great.
You know, when I killed my first human and the village started hating me, I thought this game, like so many others, was telling me to be bad, but then punishing me for it. Then I realized I just needed to kill some more humans to properly quell them. Then I fell in love.
For the latest we've got in gaming news, here's the gaming update with Joel Gordine.
Thanks, Adam. Coming up, Manhunt 2 is finally on its way, an improved 360 might be on its way, and Leipzig came and went. All that coming up in today's gaming update.
Smell like a sound
I'm lost in a crowd, and I'm hungry like the wolf.
Blades of Glory on DVD. The look.
Just thought you'd like to see what a skater's body really looks like.
The moves. The #1 comedy of the year is now on DVD. Blades of Glory. Own it on DVD and HD DVD today.
Go ahead, drink it in.
Derek, good to meet you. Nice to meet you. Can you share some of your milk expertise?
These would be the milking units that get attached to each cow. Nature's most perfect food.
Really? In 1996, the tobacco industry said that drinking a glass or two of whole milk a day is riskier than secondhand smoke.
It's kind of news to me.
Does that sound like pile of manure?
Yeah, a big pile of it.
Milk is more dangerous than secondhand smoke? Rockstar Games announced that Manhunt 2 has finally been granted an M rating and will ship October 31st for the Wii, PlayStation 2, and PSP. No word yet on what was modified from the controversial title. Reports indicate that a new Xbox 360, codenamed the Falcon, may be on its way. This revised console will allegedly feature an HDMI port and a 65-nanometer processor that will eliminate Microsoft's overheating issues. With the introduction of the latest MGS4 trailer and new franchises Prototype and Wet, Germany's Leipzig Games Convention was considered to be a resounding success. Next year's Games Convention will take place August 20th through the 24th. You can always get the latest news and video game headlines on the go right on your iPod with the Gaming Update podcast. Head over to g4tv.com/podcast to subscribe. I'm Joel Gordine. There's your Gaming Update.
Feast what you have to do. Get up and take a stand. Feast. Stick to the plan. Feast. Every man has a plan.
We thought no words could describe it. Apparently, we were wrong. Ocean. Check it out at helio.com.
We just got a new car. Good time to look at new car insurance, and we went with Progressive, saving like $400 a year. But what really impressed me was they actually gave me the rates the other big companies. Was not expecting that. I mean, that kind of honesty is... Oh, did you have anything to do with this?
No.
Right.
Get Progressive's rate plus other big companies in about 8 minutes. Go to progressive.com today.
Whatever it is, 5-Star Flex brings it out. Carry the only innovation that's part notebook, part binder, and an expression of how you do things. 5-Star Flex is slim, bendable, and holds all your important stuff in one easy-to-carry place. Right now, 5-Star is giving away over $35,000 in cash and prizes to bring out what you've got inside. So get 5-Star Flex and go to 5starwin.com for your chance to win.
The most bone-crushing, spine-shattering show on Earth. Ninja Warrior. Weeknights at 6, only on G4.
X-Play, Video Viewer Mail.
I remember a game called Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo, and I remember the only way for Yoshi to open his mouth to do what Mario wanted him to do was by Mario hitting him on the head. Do you think that this is Mario's own way of promoting animal cruelty?
Welcome back to X-Play, and Mario would never be cruel to Yoshi. Just because you take a strong hand with someone doesn't mean you don't love them. And speaking of classic games, our next title is an homage to an arcade shooter, like games like Galaga and Space Invaders, but with that distinctly Square Enix style. Here's Project Sylphid.
Time to play Who's Gonna Die? First up is Katana, our wide-eyed, blue-haired protagonist. Even though he produces more wine than the Napa Valley, you can't kill off your main character.
We'll fly together again.
How about the spunky Ellen? Sure, she's got the personality of cardboard, but she has to kiss Katana later on. And then there's Brandon. The quiet one of the bunch, always willing to... Brandon! Well, thanks for playing the game, Brandon. Project Sylphid for your Xbox 360 takes the premise of a 3D space fighter, sucks out all the personality, and proves that fighting in space is pretty boring after all. The story has the structure of a 10-year-old recounting an old Gundam episode, a rebellion for rebellion's sake, stock characters such as the gruff instructor.
Don't get yourselves killed!
Thanks. Let me put that with don't put a penny in a light socket. Faux cleavage, faux emotion. One guy died. I just killed 50 faceless enemies and this one death is supposed to matter? It was Brandon, for crying out loud. Ready to go flying? Whoa, slow down there, Mario Andretti. You can't just jump into the cockpit and start shooting off missiles wildly into the empty void of space. Have you checked your speed versus your relative speed of your target? Missile warnings, radar map, range of cone and missile detector, kill count, along with the 50 talking heads? Project Sylphid's interface complicates such a simple fire and kill game. And just what am I fighting here? Space jets? Black Raven death squads? The simple love of two boys in the prime of their lives that can only be truly expressed in a fan fiction of a young girl?
Ouch, that hurts!
Actually, I don't know. The sweeping madness of Titanium Titans turns out to be no bigger than a speck on the screen. More often than not, combat boils down to scan, lock on, fire, and move on. Project Sylphid isn't without its merits. Stylish, slick, at times beautiful as traces of fuchsia and cyan vapor trails linger in the dance of metal giants drifting through the void. Then you remember that space is but an airless vacuum incapable of maintaining vapor. With all the elements present for a space adventure, Project Sylphid forgets to add any sort of personality to the mix. That's why we're giving this little space opera 2 screaming Brandons out of 5.
Ah, that was some quality X-Play game reviewing action, wasn't it? You're probably wondering just how this freight train of gaming television can keep it coming. The answer, friends, is no further away than your phone. Just come on over to g4tv.com/mobile and learn how simply you can get the grace of X-Play beamed directly to your phone.
In a moment, Ryu is back and beautifully detailed in Ninja Gaiden Sigma on X-Play.
I waited too long to try an Old Spice man. Dumb. The Old Spice man performs great. Plus, he's really long-lasting. Take the Old Spice challenge. I
did. In this life, you'll spend over 2 weeks tying your shoes, a year looking for lost socks, and over 4 years waiting until 9 p.m. to make calls. Unless you find a better way. Get Sprint and start waiting less with unlimited calling at 7 p.m. And for more ways to wait less in your life, visit waitless.org. Now get up to 5 free phones for your whole family with Sprint.
Here at the factory, 2 close friends prepare to say so long. Today, these small wonders move on to big things.
Ooh, sparkle, sparkle. You look fast. Well, if you've got it, flaunt it.
Like giving notebooks up to twice the performance and amazing battery life.
Bumpy. Hey, where are you going? Email me.
Intel Centrino Duo. Great computing starts with Intel inside.
Every day, our lives become more integrated with technology. Ultra-fast computer networks and inventive communication devices are altering the way we interact day to day. As electronics technology becomes more sophisticated, there's a real need for people who can help design, develop, install, and maintain computer systems. The Electronics and Communications Engineering Technology program in the ITT Technical Institute School of Electronics Technology can help students develop skills to enter this fascinating field. Courses offer an expansive foundation in electronic circuitry and communications engineering technology. Today's technologists are helping to merge the real world with the virtual, pursue a rewarding career in technology, and help shape the future. ITT Technical Institute School of Electronics Technology, education for the future. To find out more, call 1-800-372-4052 or visit us on the web.
Welcome back to X-Play. One of the hardest games of all time just got revamped for the PS3, and the graphics are showing just how much the PS3 is capable of. Here's Ninja Gaiden Sigma.
Busy night.
Well, if there's one thing you can say for the guys at Team Ninja, is that they know how to recycle. Ninja Gaiden Sigma for the PS3 is the seriously, not kidding, they really meant it this time, totally, absolutely definitive edition of Ninja Gaiden. For now. Maybe. It's a remake/update of the original game for the Xbox. All the stuff that was added in Ninja Gaiden Black is here, along with a few new surprises. Ryu Hayabusa, ninja extraordinaire, is on a quest to recover the Dark Dragon Blade from the evil fiend Doku. Along the way, he'll fight the military, the forces of hell, enemy ninjas, and hippies with nunchucks. God, I'm sick of this cutscene. The gameplay is mostly unchanged. Ninja Gaiden Sigma is still the same ultra kick-ass, super challenging action game you know and love. The game's awesome, you know this, so let's just go over the new stuff. Thanks to the power of the PS3, the game looks a lot better than it ever has before. Some of the sequences that were originally pre-rendered CG have been redone as real-time cutscenes. It was a nice idea, but they're not quite the same quality. Ryu gets a couple of new toys to play with, like these dual swords. Slower than a single sword, but they grind up enemies like a paper shredder of justice. Some levels even have whole new sections to them, so don't relax just because you think you finished a mission. Thankfully, the camera has been improved in some problem areas. Specifically, this previously infuriating fight against a series of mounted samurai. They pulled the viewpoint way back, and it's much easier to keep track of your assailants. But for every step forward, there's a step back elsewhere in the game. Fights against these new motorcycle enemies suffer from the same brain-dead camera problems that the Samurai Horsemen did previously. Also, there's more load time in Sigma than in either Xbox version of the game. What's that about? And the load time can hit at some very awkward points. Hey, no loading when I'm leaping into battle against rogue ninjas. The biggest change in Sigma is the addition of entirely new missions in which you play as Rachel the Fiend Hunter. These levels purport to explain what Rachel was doing while Ryu was off doing the real work. Apparently, she was running around murdering soldiers in the streets. It's nice to finally see Rachel in action outside of a single cutscene. Apparently, Team Ninja has not met an actual woman in the time since they made DOA Extreme 2. Breasts don't move like that, Team Ninja. You're thinking of gelatin. Overall, it may seem hard to justify a full $60 price tag for a third version of Ninja Gaiden. But it's still one of the greatest action games of the last 10 years, and it's never looked better. A 4 out of 5.
You know, I wonder when we're going to see a sequel. I wonder if I should explain that term to the makers of this game.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's important to point out that when Ninja Gaiden came out, we were still up in San Francisco doing this show.
Doesn't that seem like ages and ages and ages ago? And then we've seen the game again, and then we've seen the same game again, and the game again.
I mean, this horse has been beaten so many times past its death. But the thing is, Team Ninja seems to do this with a lot of their games. Dead or Alive really doesn't change that much from game to game, and Dead or Alive Extreme definitely doesn't change that much from game to game.
There still is like a little bit of buzz every time they release like a slightly different version of Ninja Gaiden. You hear, oh, are you gonna get it? Are you gonna get it? At this point, no, I'm not. At this point, like, I'm sorry. I'm done.
I have it. I'm playing it. I enjoy it, but I just want something new.
You're part of the problem.
I am part of the problem. Well, also, there's no games out right now to actually be
that's
enjoying.
The actual problem.
That's another thing you should always note.
Okay, well, we should probably close this up with an X-Play replay.
Timing's got a 2 out of 5. There are lots of missions, but the controls kind of touchy.
Guitar Hero Encore 80s Edition got a 3 out of 5. Sure, we love Guitar Hero, but the songs did not rock the Cradle of Love.
Final Fantasy II gets a 3 out of 5. The game has nice new graphics, but is played by flimsy leveling.
Overlord got a 4 out of 5 because it's badass, but has some control issues.
Project Sylphid got a 2 out of 5 because anime characters screaming at me gets old.
Yeah, and Ninja Gaiden Sigma got a 4 out of 5. The visual upgrade is gorgeous, but it's the same old game. I mean, come on, we need an actual sequel.
Now stick around because more X-Play starts now.